Hello, I'm Mitch Davis, retired computer science professor from the University of Mobile. I've been asked to provide this workshop on adding audio commentary to written assignments, such as term papers and research papers and so on. As with any geek, what I'd really like to do is to load up the software and demonstrate how to use it in real time. But as one with many years of experience in using technology for workshops, I've learned that you can't trust this equipment all the time. It's kind of like a 2-year-old child. And so rather than jump right into doing a live demonstration, I thought that I would create this presentation for you. And then after we've completed this, we will then proceed into trying to do this in real time. Okay, evaluating assignments, adding audio commentary to written assignments. What we must understand is that higher education is increasingly moving toward online education, online learning. Those professors who have a long career ahead of them need to learn how to use the technology and learn how to deliver the content online. 70% of the higher education institutions believe that online learning is critical to their success, and that's only going to increase. And so the problem that many of us have is understanding that it is possible to deliver a quality class online. Many of us have spent years in the classroom and have that face-to-face interaction with our students, and we think that's the absolute greatest way to do it, and there is merit to that. But at the same time, we need to face reality and know that higher education is moving increasingly toward online learning. And we need to try to find a way that we can, in fact, deliver this quality content without actually being in the classroom with the student. Now, when it comes to online education, we can create video lectures in which we say exactly the same thing we would in the classroom. And we can also include links to outside sources and present those in those video lectures very effectively, possibly more effectively than we can in the classroom. But the problem we have comes to evaluating the assignments. Traditionally, we present material to the student in class, and periodically we will give our students a test to evaluate whether or not they have learned the material. And in online education, that presents something of a challenge. The question is, do we have to evaluate? And for the time being, most people believe that we do. So, how do I know as a professor that the work that's being turned in is actually done by the student taking the course? In online learning, you aren't actually seeing the student take the test. If you are in a online environment in a community where the students live and function within close proximity to one another, for all the professor knows, they might be getting together to discuss the test as they take it. In fact, to compound the problem, if these same students also meet in traditional classrooms, they are developing a relationship and know each other, and therefore if they take an online class at the same time, it is even easier for them to establish this connection. Now, granted, none of our students would actually do something like that, but you never know. So another question is it possible to turn the process of evaluating work into a teaching opportunity? Some of the complaints that people have about online classes are that they've lost contact with the professor. They don't have that interaction with the professor. They don't have that interaction with one another. And that is a real problem. As a professor, we would like to have every opportunity that we can have to be able to do some teaching. A complaint that some of us have always had in the traditional environment is the days that we give a test, we aren't teaching. And we lose that time. And so the question is it possible to turn the process of evaluating the work into a teaching opportunity? Many consider the greatest opportunity that we have to verify the authenticity of the work that's being turned in by an online student is through the use of a paper, written paper. It's more difficult to cheat, although it can be done, and many of us have learned how to search the web for phrases and comments being written by students to see if they're cutting and pasting. It is more difficult when they're having to write the information in their own words so that we can evaluate whether or not they've learned the material. It is also an opportunity to have a teaching moment. The process of evaluating the paper gives us the opportunity to have a teaching moment. Now, how is that possible? Traditionally, when we grade a research paper or a term paper, we take our red pen, we have the paper there, and we end up making notes all over the paper to comment on what the student has written. Some of our professors have learned how to use the review features of the word processing software to add comments to a paper. But both of those processes have their limitations. Whether you're writing it with a pen and red ink on a piece of paper, or whether you are using the digital approach and making your comments through the review process. And those limitations are, A, it's really very difficult to have a long narrative about the topic that you're commenting on. You don't have room with that piece of paper, and it's very difficult to do it with that online review commentary also. But another approach is to add an audio commentary to that paper in which you can actually comment about the issues with the student about that work. What this audio commentary gives us the opportunity to do is to personalize the review process. It gives us the ability to personalize it in that we can make personal comments to the student using their name, maybe referring to other work that they've done. And that is another way to return some of that personal contact in an online environment. So how do we go about adding audio commentary to a research paper? Well, there's various software tools that we can use. With most Windows-based computers, there is an application called Sound Recorder that we can use, and we can actually talk to our computer and save it as an audio file. I have tried using that, and it works. The problem that I have with it is the limitations that it has. It's very simple, and in addition to that, the product that it creates, the audio that it creates, is very large. And I believe the last one I did, the audio commentary was 15 megabytes in size. Well, that size makes it difficult to add that to a paper. Your IT people may not like you putting a lot of different commentaries on different reviews on papers on their storage devices, and the size is a problem. Another tool that was recommended to me by a friend of mine in IT is a software package called Audacity. Of course, this individual says, well, this is probably not a good one because it's too complex and your faculty are just not going to take the time to learn how to use it. Don't you just love IT, guys? Well, the truth of the matter is I've looked at this Audacity, and it is a very, very good audio recording software package. Also, faculty members who are trying to add commentary to a paper don't really need to use all those bells and whistles. And therefore, it is possible with just a little bit of time to learn how to accomplish anything that the faculty person would like to accomplish using Audacity. And so that happens to be the software package that I use and will be demonstrating hopefully shortly. Now, hardware tools. Somehow you've got to get the audio recording into the system. Most of our laptops and computers have built-in microphones, and you can actually talk to the mic. The drawback to using those sometimes is the interference from surrounding noises and things like that. You can also buy your friendly neighborhood microphone, and this little device here, I saw it on Amazon for $6.50 approximately, so it's not a very expensive purchase, and that gives you a little bit more control over the quality of your sound. We can also buy a more sophisticated package. This happens to be what I'm using right now to talk to you in this video. This is one from Logitech. It is more expensive. I've had mine now for probably 6 months. I think I spent about $95 on it. I just looked on Amazon, and now it's $86, so the price is coming down. But if you think that you'll be doing quite a bit of this, then it might be a good investment to consider. Now, what's the process? The first thing we need to do is mark the assignment. Now, we've already discussed marking the assignment a little bit. We've already talked about the limitations of writing that red ink and so forth, but that needs to be the first thing that we do. In fact, recently what I've been doing is that I go through and mark all of the papers before I ever record anything. And the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is that you are trying to concentrate on multiple tasks at one time. When the process of marking the paper means you're evaluating the work, you're reading the document, you're thinking about what's being said, and you're trying to comment on what's being said. And then there's the process of actually doing the recording. And then you have to deal with the technical aspects of it. And the more you can segment or partition those two activities, the better it is. So one approach is to mark all of the papers before you record anything. And then after they've all marked, then bring the papers back up, put on the headphones or grab your microphone, and then start commenting on the marks that you made on the paper. Now, granted, you have to know when you look at that mark what you were thinking of at the time you actually read the paper. But if you saw something originally, then this will probably be a fairly easy thing to do. Once we've marked the paper, then we have to create that audio commentary. That is to use the sound recorder or the Audacity to actually make the recording. After we've created the audio commentary, we have to put it somewhere on a host site. The IT staff at the university may or may not say that you can use their storage facilities to store this data. Most of us have some sort of online storage of our own. I happen to have a Google Drive. I have a Gmail account. And with Gmail, I have access to, I think it's 15 gigabytes of storage in a Google Drive online. In addition to that, the university that I'm associated with uses Microsoft's OneDrive. And so through my university email, I also have a OneDrive account, which I think also gives me 15 gigabytes of memory or storage. It may be 5, I don't really remember. And many of us use Dropbox. And Dropbox is a very, as a matter of fact, that's my dominant online storage. My main online storage is Dropbox, and it gives us a very good place to store our files online. Forget about the days of trying to haul a flash drive back and forth to school, and then finding yourself at school with the wrong flash drive or having left it at work or left it at home and not be able to do what you wanted to do. Now with online storage, we can just save our work out there, and it's available to us wherever we go. So the point is that we all have these, most of us, I would say just about all of us, have some sort of online storage available to us. And all of these online storage sites will allow us to share files. And so we can upload the audio commentary for our student to one of our own online storage locations, and then at least temporarily leave it there and make it shareable and put a link to it from the student's paper so that the student can read the paper and listen to what we say at the same time. And through most of these online storages, the student has the ability to download that audio file themselves if they want to keep it permanently. And I have found that with my Google Drive and 15 gigabytes of storage, I've got enough space out there for many, many, many of these little audio commentaries. And so every few years, perhaps, I'll go out there and clear some of the old ones off. But it has not presented a problem, and I don't foresee that presenting a problem. So we find we have to place our audio commentary on the host side. Then we have to actually link the audio commentary to the paper. And we will move in and see how we do that. All right, first to mark the assignment. Now, we've talked about having that red pen and marking, and we've talked about adding audio comments to the review part of the online Word document. I have a tablet and a pen from a company called Wacom. It's called the Wacom Bamboo that I actually use to highlight and mark on papers. I don't take paper. I haven't taken paper in years. I do everything digitally online. And so I use that Wacom to edit whenever I want to papers online. But as luck would have it, just as I was about to make up this presentation, I have lost my stylus and I can't use the Wacom. But Microsoft Word allows me to go through and select text, and I find now that this is actually better than using that Wacom because it's so much neater. What I would do originally would be I would highlight a phrase, as you can see in this slide, and then I would number it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'd tell the student, all right, take a look at highlight number 2 or highlight number 3. Well, it's a little bit more difficult to add those numbers when you're trying to do it from Microsoft Word. But I find that it's really not that difficult to direct them to the particular highlighted. I could take a look at this one. I could say to the student, take a look at that first paragraph where it says the do. All right, well, there you go. It's pretty easy to find that. So I really didn't need to actually number these things. So I simply will go through the paper, reading what it says, identifying places that need to be commented on, and then I will highlight them. And I just read the whole paper like that, and then save it. Then go to the next paper and do the same thing again. Once I've marked the assignment, then I have to go back, call that paper back up later, start up Audacity, and start recording my comments. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see that when we actually lay our hands on it. After I have recorded the comments, then I need to go to my Google Drive, and as you can see here, this is my audio files folder that I created on my Google Drive, and you can see where I have uploaded a few of these commentaries, and I'll place it out there. And then you can use the features of Google Drive or Dropbox or OneDrive to get a shareable link and then link it to the paper. And then I have to link it to the paper, and you see that I have added to this one a little text box in which I've got instructions. Select the link in this box with a control click to reach the professor's comments, and you can see there that professor's comments is a link. Regarding your paper, once you are taken to the link and have the audio displayed, select play and then minimize your web browser so that you once again see this paper and then join as the professor reviews your work. All right, what I would do at this stage is I would select that, I save this text box, and then I will use it repeatedly. So the hyperlink that you see right there is probably a link to somebody else's paper. I will select that comment, professor's comments. I will remove the current hyperlink, and then I will put the hyperlink to this student's paper in its place. I'll relink it to this student's place. So there you have the process of adding audio commentary to a paper. This was very quick, and hopefully we can actually go to see how it's actually accomplished in real time. Thank you. I hope that you will find this information helpful.